Okay, so final set of notes, I believe, right? And we won't get through all this. My goal is to maybe do most of the first page here. All right, and I apologize right off the bat. My spacing was not the best when I created this set of notes, so you may have to write a little small. All right. Okay, so we're going to start off over here, and I'm going to change the numbers here. So change this to 5% and change this to 7%, because that's how much taxes we pay in this province. So we pay 5% for GST, that's our federal tax on everything, and we pay 7% on PST. So in this chapter, or sorry, in this lesson, we'll be doing a lesson on combining percents. So it's going to help us make our calculations a little bit more efficient. Okay. So suppose you go out and buy a sound system for $500, $499. How much do you actually pay at the till? Right? You have the cost of your item, then you also have to pay taxes on top of that. Right? So you're going to pay 5% to the federal government for GST, and you're going to pay 7% to the provincial government for PST. We have to figure out what that amount is. Right? Just like we've done everything before, is if you want to do any calculations with percents, we divide by 100, and you convert it. Divide by 100, then multiply. So 5% divided by 100 is equal to what number?
0.05.
Thank you. 0.05. And if we convert 7%, should do
0.07.
yes, divided by 100 is 0.07. So now that we have them as decimals, we can calculate with them. Yes, Henry?
Could you just add 5 and 7 together?
We'll get into that, okay? So we're doing one step at a time here. Okay, so to find the amount that we spend on GST, we go our percentage times how much you want to find the percentage of. So what is 0.05 times 499? All right, so we use a calculator for that. That's why we have calculators. All right, so you go, oh, I need to restart that one. Close all windows, restart it. Clear, there we go. 0.05 times 499, and we get 24.95. And since we're talking about money, so we'll keep it to 2 decimal places. So you can give the federal government $24.95 for the privilege of buying your system. All right? And then we have PST, which is 7%. Right? And you do $4.99. What's 7% of $4.99? So you do the exact same thing. What number do we get? 34.93. Thank you, Bella. Okay. So altogether, we pay this much in taxes. So how much are we paying in taxes altogether? 59 point what?
59 and then 88 cents.
$59.88.
So that would equal up to like $60.
Yeah. So we add those two numbers together. Yep.
Or 80 and 90. 59.90.
Well, let me just see. I'm getting two different answers, so I have to add these things up. 24.95 plus 34.93, we get 59.88 in taxes. Right? But that's not how much we pay. That's just how much we pay in taxes. So how much we pay altogether is our taxes plus the cost of the item. The item cost $499. So our total is our $499 plus our $59.88. Adam?
558 and 88.
Yeah. So 558 and 88 cents. All right. So that's how much we pay in if you were to go buy a sound system, right? And for most guys, usually when they become teenagers, you get a car, then you start getting stereo systems. It's not cheap. It adds up. Okay. Now, in math, we want to be efficient. All right? So we did extra steps here that is not necessary. When you are finding the same percentage of the same item, we can add those two percentages together. So this is called combining percents. So combined, right, percentages. So we combine them by adding them. So instead of going 5%, finding the value, 7%, finding the value, Henry saw this right off the bat. He said, hey, why can't we just add 5 and 7 together? And we're actually paying in together 14% in taxes. 5 plus 7. No, that's not 14.
12.
That's 12. Sorry, 12% in taxes. Thank you. Okay? So instead of doing the two steps, we could just go like this. Let's go. Our tax on the same question is going to be, what's 12% as a decimal? Adam?
0.12.
0.12. Take your 12, divide it by 100. And you multiply that by 499. Okay? And what do we get? 59.88. The same number we got over here, but a lot faster. Okay? So then if you want to find your total cost, we go our 499 plus our 59.88, and we get our $558.88. The same thing. Okay? So when you find the percent of the exact same thing, you just add those 2% and save yourself a step. Now with these money questions, I'm going to give you another tip, which is not a part of this, so I'm going to have to do it off to the side here. Now, when you're trying to find the total cost of something, what do? We always find the tax, then we add to the original amount. So we could say, instead of paying 12%, we could say we're paying 112%. Okay, I'll show you where the 112 comes from. You got 12% for your taxes and 100% of the price of your item. So altogether, you're paying 112, right? So if we want to do this all in one step, we could work with 112. So we convert 112 to a decimal. What do we get? Morgan?
1.12.
Yeah, 1.12 divided by 100. Okay, then we multiply by our original amount. Maybe I'll go switch to green here. 499. What do we get? What number do we get? Adam? $558.88. The same answer. Okay? So when doing these questions, you pick the strategy that works for you. Okay? If you find that, hey, I need to break everything down to a single step. I find this tax, I find this tax, then I add it together, then I add it to the total. Go for it. You can do that. Right? If you find, this is easy, I can see that those two taxes, I can add those together and find the total tax and add, do that.
Isn't the actual tax 12%?
Yeah. Excuse me. But if you can see this, do this method, right? If you can't, go back and do the other ones, right? I'm showing you different strategies. All three are completely acceptable. Okay? You pick the one that works for you. All right. So we need to be a little careful though. Right? Just because you give 2% in a question doesn't necessarily mean you can add those 2%. Right? For example, the next question here. There are 800 geese that live in a watershed. In the first year, their population goes down by 5%. Right? Then, in the second year, their population goes down by 10%. How many geese are there after the second year? Right? In a situation like this, we just can't add those two numbers together. And I'll explain why. So let's do the same situation we just did. Right? So if we add 10 plus 5, we get 15%. Right? So our calculation would be, okay, well, let's turn that into a decimal and multiply. So if we turn this into a decimal, we divide by 100, then we multiply. Okay. What number do we get? Use your calculator. What number do you get? Adam? Okay. So this 120, is that saying the population is 120? Or the population went down by 120?
Down
It went down by 120, right? Because it went down by 15%. So that means it went down by 120. Right? So then we go, how many geese are there? We go 800 minus 120. So you go 800 minus 120. What do we get? 780. No, not 780. 680. Okay? Now this answer is not right. I'll explain why. Okay? Let's do it one step at a time. In the first year, the question says, so write this part down. We lose 10% of our geese. All right? So we convert 10% into a decimal, we get 0.10. Right? We divide by 100.
Isn't the first year 5% though?
Oh, sorry, first year 5%? Thank you. 5%. Then we divide that by 100, we get 0.05. Okay? So now we take that 0.05, we multiply by 800, and what do we get? Adam?
40?
40? That sounds about right. So this is saying our population went down by 40. So how many geese are there at the end of the first year? 760. All right? Number of geese at end of first year is 800 minus 40, which is 760 geese. Okay? So this is how many geese we have at the beginning of year 2. Right?
Oh, that makes sense.
All right. So now we're starting year 2. And it says we drop our population by 10%, which as a decimal is 0.10. 10 divided by 100, 0.1. So how many geese do we lose in the second year? Adam? 76. We take our percentage, multiply by how many geese we have, and we get 76. So how many geese are there? Caitlin?
684.
684. Thank you. So number of geese after second year, and you said 684, is 684, which we went 760 minus 76 equals 684. Right? And you notice that this is a different number than before. This is not the same as this. Okay? That's because in year 2, we're taking a percentage of a different amount. Right? In the first question, when we do taxes, we take the tax on the same thing. Both of them we're doing the tax of $499. In this question, we're doing the percentage on two different things. We're doing the first the first percentage on how many geese there are at the beginning, but then we lose a bunch of geese over the year. Then the second percentage goes to how many are surviving. Right? So if you're doing on the same item, you can add those percentages. If they're not on the same number, then you can't. Then you have to do step by step. And this is called percent of percent. Okay? And I think we should call it a day right there.